And thank you so much for your support for Monterey Waterkeeper.
Also, we're very lucky today because the water is with us. My name is Chelsea Tu. I am the Executive Director of Monterey Waterkeeper, and I'm so grateful to be here with you all. I want to first just take a moment to thank a bunch of people. I want to thank our elected leaders in the community who are with us. In a few minutes, you'll hear from Senator Laird. Where's Senator Laird? Right here. Okay. And after Senator Laird just share a few words with us, we're going to have our keynote speaker, Assemblymember Addis, and both of whom are our fearless representatives in the state legislature. We also have, hopefully soon, Wendy Rue Askew, Monterey County Supervisor for District 4, Soledad Mayor Ana Velasquez. But right now, we do have Seaside Council Member Alexis Garcia Arazola. And thank you all so much for your leadership and for joining us here today. It means a lot to me and to this organization. I also want to give a shout out to Mike and Lisa. I'm not going to know where anyone is. I'm just going to scan the crowd and pretend I know where. Yeah, there's Mike. He's your bartender and also fundraising auctioneer extraordinaire in a moment. And then Lisa, I'm sure you've also met as well as our co-host. Thank you so much, Mike and Lisa, for opening your home to us second year in a row. Mike and Lisa are amazing board members, and we have other amazing board members here, and you'll find them wearing a Monterey Waterkeeper name tag. I also want to thank my friend Frank, the fisherman, who caught the delicious black cod that we're enjoying today. So the ceviche that you're eating is from fresh caught Monterey Bay fish that was just caught on Tuesday. So please enjoy. And of course, I want to thank my friend Chef Kirsten, who's prepared this incredible feast for us today. More thanks. I want to just take a moment to also recognize and thank my husband, Alan, who's fixing Sherry's name tag. He's a fixer. He also made all the name tags and your Monterey Waterkeeper magnets. So if you haven't grabbed a magnet, please do so. It's made with love. And then my parents, Arthur and Christina, who came all the way from Cupertino. They were very shy the first year, but now that we've made it a year, they decided that they would show up and support us. And just, thank you for everyone who's come from near and afar. I know friends coming from Santa Cruz, locally from Carmel, Monterey, Pacific Grove, and then all the way from San Francisco as well. And each one of you is really an integral part of this community that cares about and cares for our living planet that sustains all of us unconditionally. And because of your love and your support, Monterey Waterkeeper was born into the welcoming arms of this community, or reborn into the welcoming arms of this community last year to protect and restore drinkable, swimmable, and fishable waters for all. Yay! So we really hit the ground running. I was the first staff hire, and luckily we just signed a contract for me to get a little bit of support for outdoor education program. Thank goodness. So we really, I guess maybe the more appropriate way of saying is jumped right into the river and began swimming. So I'd like to just briefly highlight what we're doing in 3 key areas: outdoor education, coastal waters protection, and pollution prevention. So I just want to get a show of hands. Who's really passionate about and is excited by our outdoor education program? Raise your hand. Give a shout out. Lots of people, great. So you hear a little bit more about that in a minute. Who's passionate about coastal waters protection, our iconic Monterey Bay coast? Some people, yeah. But I know we all love going down to Big Sur when the weather is good and to go camping or just to go be with the ocean. Who's excited about pollution prevention? Yeah! I'm super excited about it too. And as an environmental attorney, that's what I'm trained to do, is fight for pollution prevention through law and policy. So in October 2022, Monterey Waterkeeper launched our Central Coast Water Leaders program. And this is our outdoor education program. And since launching, we facilitated water education trips to Elkhorn Slough and the Salinas River for more than 80 students from the Salinas Valley as well as the Monterey area. So I want to tell you a little story. Earlier this year, I worked with Ms. Santos, who's here with us today, and she's an amazing teacher at San Vicente Elementary School in Soledad. So I worked with Ms. Santos to take her students from Soledad to one of the upstream tributaries to the Salinas River. Have you all been to the San Antonio River next to Mission San Antonio? Oh, this is a hidden gem of Monterey County. So if you go down, hi Assemblymember. So if you go down 101, like deep into the Salinas Valley, and then go back up, I think turn right to the back country of Big Sur, you'll end up at one of the headwaters of the Salinas River, and it's called the San Antonio River. And there's also an amazing mission. It's just beautiful back there. So we wanted to show students what a pristine river looked like and felt like, because that is not something that students from Soledad or other underprivileged communities in Central Coast get to experience every day. So what was amazing to me was that as soon as the students saw this crystal clear river, and the river was running full steam ahead, and even in early June when we were there, because of the rain that we got this year. So students just automatically took off their shoes and then began wading into the water and just kind of in a very transformed I guess more in a mesmerized way. They just started scooping out tiny fish that were in the river, and then little tadpoles as well. And it was just one of the best highlights of my year, because this is really what the Central Coast Water Leaders is all about. Because we not only aim to help students become scientists and keen naturalists, but more than that, it just brings me so much joy to help youth connect with nature, to fall in love with nature, and to become the future stewards of this planet. You guys are so nice. Thank you for clapping every time I pause to look at my notes. But I want to tell this story because it means so much to me personally, and my parents are here. My mom's translating for my dad, but this is how my parents raised me. We were low-income family. We immigrated to the United States in 1996 together. I was 10 years old. They raised us in nature, both in Taiwan as well as in the States, with very little money. And the good thing is nature is free and it's beautiful and it sustains all of us. So it's my passion and mission to pass this gift and love of nature to our future generations. So thank you. We have big plans to expand this program to reach hundreds more underprivileged youth throughout the northern Central Coast over the next few years. And so I hope you'll join me in raising the next generation of clean water leaders through donating or volunteering with us in the future. We're also working really hard to protect the Central Coast's iconic coastal waters. I'm looking at you, Annie. And so how many people love Big Sur? Yeah! One of my favorite... What was that? You do? What do you like about Big Sur? Yeah, it has a lot of trees. Have you been to Andrew Malera State Park?
You have, babe.
Okay. So it's such a special park, I'm glad you've been there. Is it Khalil? Oh, I'm so sorry. What was your name? Oh, nice to meet you. Thank you both for coming as the representatives of our future generations. Yeah. So I was asking about Andrew Malaire State Park because it's one of my favorite places. And it's such a hidden gem and such a special place. So in June of this year, Monterey Waterkeeper worked with the California Coastkeeper Alliance to nominate the coastal waters near Point Sur, which is right next to Andrew Malaire State Park, for additional water quality protections. So just because a marine protected area is protected in terms of boundaries around that area for ecosystem purposes, like there's limitations on like how you can fish, or maybe if you're in a marine reserve, you can't fish at all. So you definitely need to know the regulations of marine protected areas. But just because we have lots of marine protected areas doesn't mean that the areas are actually protected from pollution that's coming into these ecosystems. And so that's why we nominated the Point Sur area to receive water quality protections. So if approved, Point Sur will be the first state water quality protection area established in over 50 years. And we're very hopeful that the regional board that's considering that nomination is going to approve it next year. Thank you. So I'll wrap up by sharing finally the hard stuff that Monterey Waterkeeper does, which is our advocacy work around agricultural pollution prevention and reduction. As you know, the Salinas Valley, known as the America's Salad Bowl, is one of the most agriculturally productive areas in the country. Majority of our lettuce, celery, and broccoli, along with many of the berries we enjoy, come from this valley. And this region's agricultural operations, as you probably know, also rely on the Salinas River, as well as the interconnected groundwater basin beneath us to grow all of these crops. I'm going to try not to shout into the mic. So unfortunately, residents of Monterey County also rely on the same water system. And I say unfortunately because the intensive agriculture that currently dominates the region comes at a heavy cost to a lot of our communities. Communities like San Gerardo, San Lucas, and parts of Greenfield are threatened with high levels of nitrate and pesticides. Speaking of Greenfield, Yaneli is in the house, and Yaneli is a council member of Greenfield. Welcome. I totally meant to put you on the spot. She can take it. So San Gerardo's well, and Horacio and Eliana, Rosa, and Anthony and others from San Gerardo are here today, and they will tell you that the well was so contaminated a while back that the community was forced to rely on bottled water for cooking, for showering, any of their domestic uses for more than 10 years. That's a long time. Can you imagine that you have to rely on bottled water? Large jugs, like small jugs, boiling your water after you get water shipped to you, or purchase water that's very expensive for 10 years just to keep your family safe. So Santa Cruz County shares a similar story. The Pajaro Valley is groundwater dependent, just like in the Salinas Valley, and it's also heavily contaminated. So on September 20th, Monterey Waterkeeper and our allies, including some of you here, looking at you, Brandon, and other people, we all went to the State Water Board, virtually as well as in Sacramento in person, to urge the State Water Board to strengthen the Central Coast's agricultural order to protect the health of our communities. However, after more than 7 hours of public comments and testimony in support of a protective order, the State Water Board still decided to eliminate enforceable limits that would have required growers to reduce how much fertilizer nitrate ends up in our drinking water and in our rivers. So I know a lot of people who are hearing this for the first time are disappointed and surprised and frustrated, and as am I. And I've been around in the environmental justice world for a long time, and this was really a decision that lacked courage, really, and understanding of the growing movement that is taking place towards sustainable agriculture, towards organic and regenerative agriculture. I know we have a lot of sustainable agriculture activists here today, so we can do better. We can do better by everyone while keeping our environment safe and growing crops. So it's really disappointing because this order, the Central Coast Ag Order that the State Water Board worsened or weakened, allows the worst actors to continue getting away with practices that poison our waters. The water that all of us and the aquatic systems that we rely on, the fish we eat, depend on to live. So I do want to take a moment to say that we are not deterred. Monterey Waterkeeper will continue leading our communities in fighting for their right for clean water. This is not an easy journey, but it's also not about winning or losing. It's about all of us coming together to find a solution that works for everyone. So I am so grateful to each and every one of you here today for showing up and for supporting Monterey Waterkeeper. I hope that you will continue to give generously during the fundraising program that's coming up, as well as give to or bid on an awesome, exciting item in our silent auction. Just as we all need each other, and we all need a clean environment and clean water to thrive, Monterey Waterkeeper needs your loving contributions in order to continue fighting for clean water for all. Thank you so much. I would just conclude my remarks by turning it over to the Honorable Senator John Laird to share a few words before Assemblymember Dawn Addis shares her keynote with us. Please join me in welcoming Senator Laird.
Hey, John. First, let me apologize for my semi-informality. Just over 2 hours ago, I was at the livestock auction at the San Benito County Fair, and it is tough to navigate an appropriate dress code between the Carmel Valley and that. I just want to briefly play off of what Chelsea just said, because in my checkered career, I spent 8 years as Jerry Brown's Secretary for Natural Resources. And when I did that, I was one of the people, Annie Notoff is here, and others, that worked really hard to establish California's marine protected areas. California it really has the largest level of protected areas in state waters of all the states. 16% is really off limits, and a science-based process to bring back fisheries to hopefully where they were at one point in the past. And when there was organizing being done for it up and down the state, in these areas, all the elected officials were there. All you had to do is put a resolution on the agenda, people would vote for it, yes, we're for marine protected areas. And then there were the other places in the state. And one of them was Orange County, where they didn't want to do it. So they organized in Orange County. They went to meetings, they had town halls, they had op-eds. They just literally took over oral communications at city councils and boards of supervisors. And then when the designation happened, they had this infrastructure in place. We didn't, because we were just putting things on the agendas. And so they suddenly had this group of people on the ground, and you could not board a boat in Orange County without passing a sign that said marine protected area. Here's the boundaries. Here's what's allowed. Here's what you do. You couldn't pass without there being a brochure that said, and if you can't remember it, take this with you. And even supported the level of enforcement, because Chelsea was mentioning the enforcement on pesticides. The marine protected areas don't mean anything unless somebody is there enforcing. And so what really has made the difference is the people on the ground that augment all the official things to make sure people are educated, that there are people out there as volunteers doing enforcement, that the marine protected areas really mean something. And so when I first had a meeting with Chelsea near the beginning of this organization starting. I said, you are the cavalry. You are bringing people to support that and to implement that and to do the outdoor education and the policy work. And so that's all I wanted to do is thank you all for being here. And she can't do her work unless you bid in the silent auction, so make sure you do it. And Mike had it backward. Mike said bid and have a drink. I say have a drink and then bid. And if you support this organization the way the vision is out there, there will be the cavalry here to make sure on pollution, outdoor education, enforcing the marine protected areas, that people are organized to do what we all support and make sure it happens. So thanks for being here. And I just want to say one other thing. You're about to hear from Assemblymember Dawn Addis, who is ending her first year, and she has hit the ground running. And if term limits are the way they're supposed to be, she has 11 more years, if you all continue agreeing. Go invest in her with information, with relationships, because she showed this year with some bills out the gate for the aquarium and other people that she could really do ocean protection and conservation, and just make sure she's connected to you so she just doesn't miss a beat as she has come up to speed so fast. So thanks for having me here today. I really appreciate it.
And now it is my honor to introduce to you our Assemblymember Dawn Addis. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing our keynote remarks.
Of course. Well, it's wonderful to see all of you. Chelsea and I were like, neither one of us want to fall on those stairs, so we're going to come up here together. And you probably know this, but I'm a teacher, so if you can't hear me, I'm just going to tell you, come closer. And if you act bad, I might call on you and tell you to come closer. So, but it's wonderful to be here, and I have this amazing view because there's these little feet that keep dangling from these trees. So I love that this is a family affair, and want to say thank you to Lisa, wherever she went, for right here, for opening up your home and making this such a friendly and welcoming event. And I have a whole list of thank yous. John asked me, what are you going to say today? And I said, well, you know, I always have notes. And he said, you know, I never do. And I said, I know, you're going to tell a story, and then I'm going to go through all my stuff on my notes and talk about legislative things, and hopefully we'll still have a good time together. But I do want to say thank you to Monterey Waterkeeper, who has such a long history here in the Monterey area, but is really affecting the entire Central Coast with the deep work that you do around keeping our waters clean. I want to say a deep thank you to Chelsea, the executive director of Monterey Waterkeeper, but also I had the pleasure of just meeting her husband right here, who made your name tags and those little magnets, and we were talking about it's all out of reused wood, and I thought, how amazing to have a life partner who shows up and makes things for your fundraising events. So thank you to him as well. And then, of course, my friend and colleague and mentor, State Senator John Laird. Many of you have known Senator Laird for such a long time. I first got to meet him when he was running for state senate. I was running for city council or somewhere close in there, and he's just really opened so many doors for me across the peninsula and across the entire district, which I'll tell you about in a moment. And then my staff, Alexis Arazola Garcia, who's right here, and I want to call him out because he's in our Monterey office, which is at Heritage Harbor on the Portola Plaza, basically. And so if you ever need anything from our office, you're welcome to go down there. You can bend his ear today, but maybe don't. Just have a drink instead and then bid on some things. But that's how you can find us. And so I always like to tell people that you're sitting, or you're standing as it were, in the very best assembly district in all of California. And I started to tell people, and I believe in all of the world, and I was like practicing the other day with my husband, and he was like, that's hyperbole. And I was like, well, I'm going to Carmel, so I think I can say we are the best in the entire world. But the reason that I say that really has to do with the geography of the district that I represent in the state legislature, and by design that State Senator Laird gets to represent in the state senate, because we have 20% of California's coast. So I've got 200 miles north to south. He's got even more. And about 60% of the geography of Monterey County, about 95% of SLO County, which I know Monterey Waterkeepers doesn't work in. But what that means is not only do we have California's most pristine oceans, most amazing untouched coastline in probably all of California and the world, but also all the waterways that lead to those oceans. And those are incredibly, incredibly important waterways. And I was thinking about coming here today and thinking about how, water really is the heartbeat of this district. When we think about the Assembly District, water is the thing, one of the things, but probably one of the most important reasons people even come to this area of the coast, right? And so what Monterey Waterkeeper is protecting that, but it's also something that as a community we're uplifting and investing in. And so, of course, we also, Senator Laird and I also represent some of the more arduous drinking water projects across the district, which I'm not going to open up a can of worms right now to talk about that, but I know that Monterey Waterkeeper is working for clean water for fishing, for swimming, and for drinking, which is incredibly important, and we're both invested in solving those problems. So I personally sit on the Natural Resources Committee. I'm chair of the Select Committee for Offshore Wind Energy. Some of you are starting to hear about offshore wind energy. I'm joint chair of the Select Committee on Fisheries with the incoming Senate Pro Tem McGuire. I'm an ex officio member of the Ocean Protection Council and then chair of the brand new Central Coast Caucus. And so you can see that water plays an outsized role in my time in the legislature. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about Sacramento as I'm getting to know many of you. And I want to appreciate State Senator Laird for saying, please introduce yourselves to me. I would love to get to know you personally. I'm here a lot, but I actually live in Morro Bay. And so the more I get to know you, the better. But I was thinking about what is the California State Legislature and really what is our job up there. And since 1849, there's been about 5,000 legislators in the state legislature working on your behalf. But I'm only the 176th woman to hold this seat. And so it's thank you. You can clap. Thank you for that. And in the southern part of the district in San Luis Obispo County, where you may think is very purple, I'm also the first woman from my party, from that county, to hold this seat. And so it's really been a sea change. Thank you, back there. And so people often ask me, what's Sacramento like? How is it? How's the transition? My typical answer is I went up to Sacramento and I found a gym and I took up boxing so that I can still be nice to people when I go to work every day, right? That's how I get my aggression out. But the real truth of the matter is that it's an incredible honor. What we do is an incredible honor because people come to us in their time of need, and they ask us to help them fix their thing that they need fixing. And so whether they're knocking on the door down there at Heritage Harbor or calling or emailing, and I wanted to give you a little picture of what that looks like, because one of the things that looks like, and I want to say thank you to Monterey Bay Aquarium who is here, one of the things that looks like is when the Monterey Bay Aquarium says, we need ocean monitoring when offshore wind comes. We need to be paying attention to our ocean health. And so we're able to think about that from a legislative point of view. And State Senator Laird co-authored, and we worked on a bill for ocean monitoring. It's become a 2-year bill, but I just want to say we are doing that work. Or kelp restoration. It looks like how we are investing in targets for kelp restoration. That's critically important. Also a 2-year bill, but we're still working it through. Another thing that it looks like, though, is when the Monterey County Transit Agency comes to us and says, hey, the Elkhorn Slough is critical habitat. It is a critical part of our community. but you've got Highway 1 right there, and then you've got railroad tracks, to my great surprise, railroad tracks that go right through the Elkhorn Slough, and we need to think about this in the context of sea level rise, and we need money to do that. And State Senator Laird and I are looking at this historic budget deficit across California because we had historic surplus. Now we have a historic deficit, and you still have to get that money for your community. And so on the legislative side, many of us fought to get money back to our districts. And so we're very proud to be able to get $1 million to begin work on Elkhorn Slough sea level rise resiliency. So that was another piece. Thank you for that. But probably one of the more important stories of what it looks like when people come to ask for us for help is when the Pajaro levee broke. And although Pajaro, the town, is not in my district, it is in the district of Speaker Rivas, who's been phenomenal in terms of serving that community, but was very gracious because I had numerous constituents coming to me and saying, you are right next door. What are you going to do about Pajaro? How are you going to help the people in Pajaro? And there were people right here in Carmel that were giving money, that were donating clothes, that were collecting things, that were going up to Pajaro to try to help. And so Alexis and I went out. We went out 3 different times to visit the people in Pajaro. We visited the middle school where kids had to be removed from to attend a new middle school. But we went to one little neighborhood, and there was a woman who was covered in sludge. She was wearing rain boots. She was shivering, and she was shoveling just, all I can say is like mud and muck out of what used to be her home. And she looked at me and she said, if you're just here to shake hands and take photos like every other politician, and you're not actually going to do anything to help us, you might as well not even be here. And it was so searing to me and so true. I mean, that's the truth. But it was so searing that I took that story back to Sacramento. I told that story to everybody I could think of in Sacramento, the Emergency Management Committee chair, our new Speaker Rivas, our colleagues in the state legislature. I think I pulled the governor aside in the hallway one day, and everybody else thought I was talking about him, talking to him about some important thing, or we had background, and it was really this one woman's story. And really what I was saying is we've got to go up there and we've got to fix that. And to Senator Laird's credit, to the Senate's credit, to my colleagues' credit, to Speaker Rivas's credit, to my colleagues' credit, we were able to make historic investment in flood protection. We were able to get historic amounts of money for direct assistance to residents and for undocumented people, and we'll be able to start putting money into fixing this levee. And I want to say this one thing before I tie this back into water, is before that levee broke, Senator Laird and I get to go to a lot of places together. It's a huge fortune for me. And he kept saying to me, I just hope that levee doesn't break. I've been working on this for so long. We got this initial money so long ago. I just hope this thing doesn't break. And we got through the January storms and it hadn't. And then came March. And so it was this huge devastation. But the way this ties into water, it's devastating to see people in that condition. But what you know when you see that is that all of that sludge, all of that garbage, all of the things, the sewer, the chemicals, that's all going back into our waterways, right? And so that's one of the things that we have to put historic effort into, is making sure that when these kinds of floods happen or are going to happen, and we know they're happening more and more often, that we are ready so that we can prevent that kind of destruction from our waterways. And I know that's something that Waterkeepers works avidly for, is to protect those waterways. And so I tell you that story because as we're thinking about the human toll of climate and climate change, there's also a huge toll to our waterways, to our drinking water, to swimming, and to all the other things that we need clean water for. And it's on our minds. And it's why we started the Central Coast Caucus. And so I want to thank Senator Laird. He's one of the inaugural members of the very first ever Central Coast Caucus, which is 10 members in the legislature who represent 5 counties. So Santa Cruz, Monterey, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, and Ventura. And we've come together, 10 of us, to try to do everything we can to uplift the voice and uplift the issues that the Central Coast faces, water being one of those most important issues. And so these are the kinds of things that I've woven into this speech that our Central Coast Caucus is working on. And I will end by saying this. As many of you have heard this saying, that hurt people hurt people. But the flip of that is also true, that empowered people empower people. And that's what you're here today to do. That's why you've spent your time to come out on what to me feels like a frigid day, but is actually really wonderful. The warmth of all of you is warming me up, but it's really why we're all here today, is to empower one another to keep organizations like Monterey Waterkeepers going. Right? And I rarely make asks on behalf of other groups because I'm always asking for money for myself anyway to get reelected. But I was asked if I would please kind of pump this up. And so, you know, it's incredibly important that you give today. You probably already gave to be here. It's a wonderful place to be. But it's incredibly important and urgent that you give today as well, that you sign up for the silent auction, that you participate in the other things. And the common refrain is, you know, the price of a couple cups of coffee, the price of dinner is something that you could give up once to be able to keep this organization strong and to help it grow for the benefit of the entire Central Coast. And so with that, I'm going to ask you just to, you know, find that moment today where you can go over here and sign up. A couple people have kicked us off, but we need more people over there. So those lists are full and those items go for the very highest amount, because Monterey Waterkeepers is really doing God's work, and you can be part of doing God's work with them. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, time for some fun. So I'm very fortunate to have just a wonderful family to help us do this and support the Waterkeepers and Chelsea. Big hand for Chelsea, please. She works hard. She is passionate about this, as you saw. Thank you to our speakers. Let's give a big hand for our speakers, please. So thank you for coming today. My water journey started, like a lot of you, probably as a kid. Surfing, later on diving, swimming, fishing, enjoying the water. I love the water. You can probably tell by the shirt, water is, you know, central for me. So I started off in Southern California. I was very fortunate to be with an organization down there, and I got to go talk to kids and educate them about watersheds and clean water. And the coolest thing is they'd go home and tell their parents and their siblings, and the word spread. So the first thing we're going to talk about today, I saw the hands go up for education relative to water. So we want to send 100 kids, 100 school kids that don't live near Elkhorn Slough in the river, and put them on 5 educational trips. So look, a lot of times when we give money, we don't know where it goes. We write a check. This is going to go to support our education programs, to support Chelsea in what she's doing. The next one is awesome as well. It is about making sure that the right things go into the river. So when it rains, we have watersheds. We have the Carmel River, we have the Salinas River. All that water goes into there. There's other stuff that's going in there, and it's not necessarily great for our groundwater. It's not necessarily great for everything else. So we're going to talk about pollution prevention. Too much fertilizer, too much pesticide. Simple stuff, right? For our advocacy, for Chelsea and her team to go out and do the hard work that they're doing. And it's hard work. There is, you know, we want to make it work for everybody. We got to grow food. We have to. We all eat food. We got to grow it. We got to grow it responsibly. I have water here, but some of us are having wine. We have to grow grapes, and we need to do that responsibly. So we're just trying to all work together, and it's hard work. There's a lot of compromise. There's a lot of working together. Thank you for supporting both of these programs. You know exactly where your dollars are going. They're going to make an impact. Thank you for supporting Monterey Waterkeepers. Thank you for being here today and all that you do to help us provide clean water for this generation and all the future generations.
We also have some fantastic music by these wonderful musicians, Steve Wilson and Bruce Foreman. So we're delighted to have them here. And everybody, if you want to break into dancing, that's fine with me too. Go for it. This is called, we named our house Dancin Hanson Ranch. So it's kind of a bummer if there's a party without dancing. However, we'll allow either one. If you don't want to dance, you do want to dance. We'll see how you feel with their music.
Thank you for bringing it up. I had to jump up on the rock with that. Folks, 18 minutes left on the silent auction. I know it's supposed to be silent, and I keep getting up here and talking about it, so it's kind of one of those things. But 18 minutes left on the silent auction. It is going to close at 5. It's going to get high pressure. So please, get up there. Support us. Support Chelsea in what we're doing. Monterey Waterkeepers, we thank you.